With consistency comes achievement. Could you believe it? Well, I believe it. I believe it. Coming up on Real Talk.
And it turned into, dramatics. And the dramatics led me to doing the things that I needed not to be doing. It led me to that rut. It made me feel like I was inevitable when I should have been, staying into I should have been accepting or being teachable when I wanted to teach. At the time that I should have been teachable, I was wanting to teach. And basically you can't teach if you don't know. So therefore, my mother always taught me, hey, never be a follower, be a leader. So I agree to that, but I don't agree to that. I disagree as far as you got to be taught before you can teach.
Turn it up, it's coming not now. With consistency comes achievement. Could you believe it? Well, I believe it. I believe it.
Welcome to our show, Real Talk. I'm your host, Ameenah. The views expressed here are strictly ours. Take what you need and leave the rest. With me today is Robert Johnson, my husband. Welcome, Robert.
Welcome.
Our topic today is change. Since our biggest obstacle is self-judgment, which comes in the form of shame, blame, guilt, resentment, and anger, how easy is change? And is it really possible, since they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Robert?
Change is a very difficult subject, or it's very difficult if the individual is not willing. For me, being the lifestyle that I've lived a very difficult lifestyle. So therefore, I would have to start off with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, and very small increments of it at a time. As far as
The shame.
the shame is concerned, the only thing that I could be ashamed of is nothing, due to the fact that I'm moving forward, or the lifestyle that I've used to live, that would bring about shame, because I really couldn't entertain the old people and places, from my past. So as far as I'm concerned,
That's how shame plays in it for you. What about, is shame blame, in the blame?
I wouldn't actually say that it's blame, but for certain people, individually, it probably could be some blame involved. Maybe in a small part of my life, it was some blame involved due to the fact that the lifestyle that I was living.
When I say blame, I'm referring to our personal judgment is one of our biggest obstacles. This is what blocks us and stops us from changing, because of these shackles, these invisible shackles, which we call shame, blame, guilt, regret, and anger. So when I'm referring to blame, I'm talking about how we blame ourselves. So, those are the words that we hear in our heads, really like not being worthy, That's what I'm kind of like talking about. Go ahead.
Well, I blamed, in my past, I blamed others more than I blamed myself.
Oh, okay.
Due to the fact that I wasn't living the life that I was raised to live. I first and foremost come from a decent family and religious based, so therefore I feel that I did somewhat blaming for certain things in my childhood, my younger childhood. But as of today, I don't really throw the blame at anyone because anything that I do as an adult, I bring upon myself.
So that takes, so you're saying that you take ownership for your behavior. We were talking about blame. Now, what about the guilt? How does guilt play
Guilt
into
plays a major role because after all of the wrong choices and bad actions that I've played out in my life, it really plays a major role. So therefore, I would have to take ownership to a lot of guilt in my life for the things that I've done and the people that I've hurt, and family members, and people that confided in me and when I couldn't confide in self.
Mm-hmm. So guilt is a big thing for you. So that's one of the shackles, invisible shackles, that you really need to work on in order for you to go into the change and do the things that you need to do to change yourself.
Yes, you could actually say that. I would need to dig deep down inside in order to pull some of that old stuff out of my, I would call it a backpack, and start from the beginning, because I started stacking stuff up in there, which was guilt, led from guilt to shame and the blame. Mm-hmm. So everything piled up on top of everything, and I have to go, start from the bottom. I have to go down there to where I first started, packing stuff up in my backpack and holding it all in and not, going and getting the right help that I needed or talking to the right people or whatever, etc.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, we've dealt with the, what about the regret?
Regrets?
How does regret play into the?
Regrets is basically piggybacking off of the blame and shame. There would be some regrets there too as well. Unfortunately, I would have to say there is, regrets there, because I can't actually say that I agreed to everything that I've done in my childhood, and even though, my parents were there, and gave me the true guidance, but as a child or, growing up in my life, I made some bad choices, and they branched off of the affiliation that I kept, so therefore, yes, there is regrets.
So there's regret. And then now, anger. How does anger play into the change? Into you not, that personal judgment,
That's something that I really never really wanted to own up to, was being an angry person, but I guess I can actually see anger lashes out within me. It does, more so because I withhold so much, and I don't actually let it out when it's supposed to be let out, and pressure do bust pipes. So therefore, it's anger, bottled inside me that needs to be released, and not knowing the right stages and ways of releasing it without some type of counseling. Yes, there will be some anger there because of the lifestyle that I've led.
Okay. So how easy is change? Would you say? Is it? Is it easy? Because they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Do you find that to be true, Mr. Johnson?
I wouldn't actually say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because everybody learns something every day from somebody, whether it's a child or an adult or, life in general itself. As far as being easy, nothing's easy in life. Nothing good is easy in life. Anything that's worth keeping is hard to earn. In school they said, it's easy to get an A, but it's harder to keep it. So basically, just my personal opinion, no, it's not easy. Especially when you have or led the lifestyle that I've led, and you're ready to make that change within yourself. As Michael said, looking at the man in the mirror, you dig up a lot of stuff, in your past. So no, change for me isn't easy.
Talking about Michael. Yeah. So would you say that it's possible? Is it possible?
It's very possible. I would be a reflection to that, because my life today has taken a new direction. A couple of years ago, I couldn't have told you that I would change, because when you get in that rut of a lifestyle, you don't look for change. Change is impossible then. So therefore, no, I didn't want to change. But I knew I had to change if I wanted to either be someone or, I really wouldn't like to continue the life that I was living, due to the fact that, I could look across the street and see better life. Not to say that the grass is not greener, but in my case, the grass was greener as far as, my lifestyle on the streets, and trying to live out that childhood that I felt that I didn't take advantage of.
So you're saying that the past really does play into your future. We project, we take what we came out of, and that plays into our life today as far as change goes. If it was something that you was missing, like that childhood that you didn't have, you played that out, or what?
Yes, your past is a very large reflection of your future. As I could say, my past, it started off a decent past, but when I started making my own choices at a young age, then it turned into, dramatics. And the dramatics led me to doing the things that I needed not to be doing. It led me to that rut. It made me feel like I was inevitable when, I should have been, staying into and I should have been accepting or being teachable when I wanted to teach. At the time that should have been teachable, I was wanting to teach. And basically, you can't teach if you don't know. So therefore, my mother always taught me, hey, never be a follower, be a leader. So I agree to that, but I don't agree to that. I disagree as far as you got to be taught before you can teach. And in order for me to be a leader, I have to be taught. So that's the only way that I would disagree to, being a leader, because I have to be taught first.
Okay. So, back to the change in the past, and when you, how did not being given what you felt that you need, say like you felt that you should have been honored, or you should have been celebrated or acknowledged, and this didn't happen for you, how does that play into your life today as far as changes? What type of things did you tell yourself, and what kind of picture did you paint for yourself that was a false picture? Those were the facts. The facts is that you weren't acknowledged. You wasn't appreciated like you thought you should have been. So what did you tell yourself about that, and how does that affect you today as far as change goes? You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. It affects me today as far as change in a good way, because yeah, I felt as a child that I was neglected in some areas, but I understand also, you know, from going through certain different types of counseling in my life, you know, as an adult, that you know, your parents only taught you what they knew how and what they had to work with, you know. As far as my life is concerned, I'm, you know, in my early 50s, so therefore, back in the 60s, you know, things was a lot different from today, you know. So therefore, I really couldn't make a lot of I don't know what words to put in there, but the 60s was totally different from the world we live today. So to make a change today is very uplifting to me. It's nothing that I would want to say, you know, that other than the neglect, you know, and like I said, as I said, the parents only done what they could with what they had to use, and first and foremost, I was raised by my mother alone, so just to know that, you know, I got past all that till today, is still a bright future for me. Mm-hmm. And I love my mother dearly, and I'm proud of, you know, her raising me to where she did, to the person or the gentleman that she did.
Yeah, because you only do the best you do the best you have with what you have. You should do the best you can with what you have.
Yes, you do.
So your mom did the best she could with what she had. Now, the fact that change, would you say that someone can make you change, or is this something that you or whomever it is that's a decision they need to make for themselves?
That's a very interesting question, because sad to say, I did you know, a few small terms in and out of jail, and I wouldn't say that anyone can make anyone change. You know, that individual will have to take it upon themselves to see something different and want something different in order to change. That's like, I don't know, that's like trying to take a wild animal out of the wild and making him, you know, a pet. So no, I wouldn't say that a person can make another person change. He can give him the advice. He can lead him. He can, you know, he or she can lead him and give him that advice. That's as much as I see as far as anyone making anybody change.
Yeah. So it's up to that individual to hit a bottom or hit something that jogs something within himself to make him, well, in other words, be sick and tired of being sick and tired in order to change for that person.
Exactly. That would go back to that rut that I spoke of. You know, once you get tired of being in that rut, yes, you have to get tired of the rut, but you have to see better on the other side. unless you see better on the other side, then, to you the rut is good.
Oh.
So until you can see something better, or, maybe individuals, that you idolize in your life, doing good, and you wondering why where you at, you know what I'm saying? So you have to get some kind of reflection towards, in what direction you want to be headed. So yes, that would be a yes to your answer, your question.
A yes to the answer to what question?
That would be a yes to your question. That, your last question.
That can't nobody make you do nothing. You have to do it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. How does loneliness go into change? Or does it even affect you in any way? Would you say that was maybe one of the obstacles or one of the blocks that holds you back from trying to change?
You mentioned what was the prior?
Shame,
blame,
guilt.
and guilt. Shame, blame, guilt, loneliness, neglect. All those plays a major role, upon each other, because it's all negativity. So therefore, yes, I was lonely. I've experienced several different things in my life, that wasn't of any upcoming of my upbringing. So therefore, it brought about all those shame, blame, loneliness, guilt. It brought about that. So that would be right in there, in the same line of the rest of
The invisible shackles, we call
the
them.
invisible shackles. That would be right up in there. I've been, even though I've been married and have some of the finer things in life, doesn't mean that I still wasn't lonely. Addictions can bring about loneliness, because you're supplying your addiction and not living the life that's originally formed for us, which is the order for a human, and it brings about loneliness, because you're being self-centered and selfish. So a person that's self-centered and selfish, would tend to be alone. To be alone, because they're being centered around themselves.
Okay. You mentioned counseling. Would you say counseling is very important when you're trying to change something within yourself, as far as like dealing with the past? Because I would think the past plays a great part of our life today. And if it was something back there in the past that you haven't dealt with, you're trying to cover it up, and you can't handle it, would you say that counseling is one of that you really need to do that in order to get to where you need to be as far as change goes?
I would say that anyone that's not familiar with what they're dealing with, there's all different types of counseling. So yes, I would agree to counseling is a major issue when you're dealing with life, if you don't know how to live it.
How does gratitude play into change for you?
I would say and right now it's playing great, because I'm grateful. So I have much gratitude, for as far as I've advanced, you know, in my changed life today. Change is beautiful, you know. The only change that's not beautiful is when you're changing for the worse, you know. And I don't often see people change from the better to the worse. I usually see them change from the worse to the better. So therefore, yeah, gratitude. You know, I'm grateful. You know, I thank God for, you know, my change. You know, because every day lived is a blessed day. Every day lived is a blessed day, and you know, dealing with my past, you know, I'm a very fortunate individual.
Okay. Now, we've discussed how easy is change. And one of the things you said that was that it's not easy. Anything that's worth having or worth, in other words, you got to go through something to get somewhere. And would you say that's something that need to be, an individual needs to keep in mind, that it's not going to be easy, that it's going to be hard, but the thing is that you can do it. It's not impossible, and you can teach an old dog new tricks, just get some other kind of ball to do it with, right?
Exactly. You know, I use the term that anything is worth having is worth struggling for, because I mean, you know, that you let's say I use those that's handed everything to them on a silver spoon. You know, when time come to fend for themselves, then you know, where are they? But those that goes out and struggle, those that work in fields, those that work on assembly lines, those that, you know, do those type of jobs, you know, when it come time to that's the moment to be grateful, because that's when you know that you earned that on your own, that you took the initiative to go out there and pull cotton. If you pull cotton, that you took the initiative to stand on your feet for 10 to 12 hours or 8 hours a day at that assembly line, or whatever it may be, you know. So yes, I truly believe that anything that's worth having is anything good worth having is yes. I truly agree to that.
Okay, Mr. Johnson. We come to the end of our show, and I really enjoyed this conversation with my husband here on TV, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing another show with him. He said he wanted to do one on relationships, so baby, I don't know, but we gonna see. So with that, we're gonna bring our show to a close, and remember, baby, when you know better, you do better. Ciao. That's it, Najee?
Cause knowledge is the weapon, knowledge is the weapon, knowledge is the weapon to the aggression, the oppression, the depression. Knowledge is the weapon, knowledge is the weapon. Maybe you will find, maybe you will find some of the blessings in the past lyrics. Did you hear